Here's the 6 best tips that I learned from making Drake-style R&B chord progressions. If you like what you see in this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that Discord link in the description below too. We'd love to have y'all in that gang, in that server. Let's get right in the video. So the first tip that I got for y'all is to familiarize yourself with common R&B chord progressions. Now right here, super simply, I just laid out a 2-5-1 in the C minor scale. And there's plenty of other really popular ones, but you just want to familiarize yourself with them. So that way, whenever you're just laying down chord progressions, you can kind of branch off of those just automatically if you already know them. Another cool thing you can do is try by ear or just looking up online to copy chord progressions of popular R&B songs. Now I've done this a couple times in the past. It's cool when you mimic like a popular song that's done really well, that you know like the chord progression works, you know, and then you can either try and lay it down by ear, or you can look it up, which I think will be much easier. Look up like this song chord progression, jot it down in your DAW and just see how they structured it, you know, see it, like it'll tell you the exact chords that they use. And then you can just see like what the producer was thinking, whoever made that chord progression, you know. And when you mimic the chord progressions of popular songs, you can obviously see what types of chords that are being played. You can take notes of like types of chords that people use and like the notes that people use within the scales that they use and like the rhythm that they use as well. It's really cool, it's diving into the mind. Second tip that I got for you guys is to master chord voicings. Now chord voicing is just like how a chord sounds. And the main tip that I got for you guys is to play around with inversions. So when you invert something, like let's invert this note down, the voicing of this whole chord is going to sound different due to this top note being played different. Like right here, we'll go like, play this. So we're gonna hear that most prominently when I play this chord. It's like dun. But when I invert it, now we're gonna hear this chord. Since this is the top note, we're gonna hear it most, this note. We're gonna hear this note most prominently when we play it. So it's gonna be like, you'll hear it like the dun, right here. See, like the top note is the most prominent one. So this is what you call different chord voicings when we go like that, boom. And again, like the easiest way to play around with it is to invert these notes, like boom, bam, bop. Another way that you can lay down a chord progression using chord voices is like basically when you're humming a melody or a chord progression, you just make sure that like whatever, like if you think of a chord progression in your head, you just lay down the top notes first because that's what you're hearing in your head and that's what you will want to hear as a chord progression. So it's going to be hard to find these things, but let's say you want to go like dun, 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 as a chord progression, then you'd find that. So let's take that out of snap the scale. Dun, 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 let's find that. So that's it. So, you know, it's like, so that's how you would do it. You would like think of the notes that you want to hear, and then you would just, off of this, build chords the opposite way that I usually always show, but you would just build it like going down. So you go like, put snap the scale on, make sure that the notes are in scale. You go down instead of up, and then you just create chords like this. Let's make these 7 chords, boom. So now you have a F minor 7th chord, you have a C minor 7th chord, G sharp major 7th chord. So now you'll still hear the top notes, but now they're just in chord form. If you want, you can also invert it too, make it sound a little more close together. See how it sounds. Sorry, it was not the same rhythm that I used, my bad. So, see, very cool, very neat. Yeah, just starting with like the top notes. That's the voicing of the chords that you hear in your head. So yeah, playing around the voices are very cool. That's what you would hear. So another thing, my third tip for y'all is to explore extensions of chords. Now we already are playing around with some right here. These are 7th chords of each of these chords. But what you can also do is just keep on going. So if you skip, let's go snap to scale, make sure this is on. That way all of our notes are in scale. And so this would technically be our 8th right here. This would be our 9th. So yeah, 9ths is gonna make our chords sound more full. Same if you keep on going to like 11ths and 13ths, just gonna make our chords sound more full. I really don't ever play around with like more than 9th chords. But what I do is when I use 9th chords is typically when I have like progression like this. And I'll just add and I'll just add some variation. If I copy the same chord progression like a 4-bar loop, I'll make this first chord right here a 9th chord instead of just a 7th to add some variation. To add 11th chords, man, it gets a little tricky because I've found from my experience, could just not be doing it right, but the more I stack on top of here, the more risky it gets from sounding good with the rest of the progression because you're just incorporating more notes, more elements in this chord. So let's see how this sounds. Starting from like right here. See how it doesn't sound bad, but like it's low-key just a lot, you know? So from my experience, I don't really mess around with 11 chords that much. 9 chords would be like my max. Yeah, but still, another way to make chords sound more full is to mess around with these extensions of just regular old triads. And technically is an extension, but not mess around with like 7ths or 11ths or something like that. We're just gonna take these root notes, make extensions of these chords by bringing down these root notes, sliding them right here to create a copy, and then just pitching them down an octave. I always love doing this to make your chord sound more full. Now the key to this that I found is when I'm laying down a chord progression is to do this before I invert any notes. So before I do any inversions, I just take these original root notes down. Makes it sound a lot more cool. My fourth tip for you guys is to utilize passing chords. Now this is a dope concept. It's just basically when you're transitioning from chord to chord. Like, let's bring this over, boom. See how it didn't sound that smooth transitioning from one another? What you can do, in a cool way that I found to make cool passing chords, is whatever chord you're going to, like I'm going from this chord to this one, whatever chord you're going to, you take the 5th of whatever this chord is, like take this chord's scale and take the 5th of that scale, regardless of what scale you're already in. I know I probably didn't explain that well enough, but like right here, I have a G sharp major chord, boom. Then right here, I have a F minor chord. Regardless of what scale we're in, we're just gonna take snap scale off right now. Whatever scale we're in, regardless, we're just gonna pay attention that this is F minor. And so right now we're gonna find the 5th of the F minor scale. That's what I meant. So we'll turn the snap scale back on. We're just gonna make sure that we're in the F minor scale so it's easier. So this is the 1 in the F minor. It's 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we know that the C is the 5th in the F minor scale. And then we just build a chord off of this, off of the 5th. So boom, we're just gonna go like boom, in the F minor scale still. So I know it's a little tricky, but F minor scale, find the 5th, and then just build a chord off of the 5th, still in the F minor scale. That's what we're doing. 2, 3, boom, 4, 5, boom, 6, 7, just to make it a 7th chord. So now this chord is going to be our passing chord between these two to make it sound good. So I'll show you how we're gonna do it. Make it like that much space. We're like boom, bam. Just to make it sound better, we're gonna invert these like that. Let's see how this sounds. So we'll just pay attention to how this little transition sounds. Man, see that, man? I think it was, yeah, especially when we brought that root note down, it just sounded so much more like as a smooth transition to this little F minor chord. Yeah, it's an awesome way to make a cool passing chord. And my 5th tip for you guys is to add suspended chords. If you go right here to the stand tool, you can just click suspended 2, suspended 4. Both of them I think are good for passing chords as well. So suspended 2 will always look like this little formation of like having 1 note and 4 notes, boom. Suspended 4, it'll actually vary between like what key you're in. And having this note right here, I believe the opposite, or I believe the other option is like having 2 notes. I apologize, I touched up on it in a different video. My apologies, but yeah, there's another way that a suspended 4 can come about, which is why you shouldn't have this snap the scale on. You just stamp it in. But yeah, so we're just gonna rock with the suspended 2. What it does is just create this like beautiful tension to make like a passing chord. So we'll make it like boom, we'll make it right here and see how this comes out. Damn. See, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. I think since we're in the minor key, it sounds just kind of melancholic. But yeah, the key is to not have the snap scale on if you play with that. But yeah, this is suspended 4. See how this sounds. How about we'll just bring this F down. Yeah, man. See, I like these suspended 2, suspended 4. In this situation, I think I'd use this suspended 2. And so the 6th tip that I got for you guys is to create smooth transitions within your chords. Now, there's many ways to do this. So the first one is to invert your chords so that the notes have neighboring chords. So let's see, so right here. Boom, like if I didn't invert this one, say the chord was like this for whatever reason, let's say we just found it like this. So if we were to invert this down though, since these notes are the same, it's just gonna sound slightly more together, sound slightly more like pleasant to the ear to listen to because these notes are like together like that. So inverting chords so that notes are played like this, side by side, it's just gonna sound overall better when it hits the ear. What you can also do is play around with neighboring notes so that neighboring chords could share similar notes. So even though that this is not like, I don't even know what to call this chord, could sound good because these 2 notes are played together. So let's listen to these 2 chords, see if it sounds good. Didn't even sound bad. What would we listen to? This one, this note right here. Man, see, like, yeah, having that, just shifting around these notes, playing around with them, as long as you are in the same scale. So if you want to click the snap scale on, you can. But as long as you're in the same notes, the same scale, yeah, it's really cool. play around with these, and it will sound relatively good since you're going to be in scale. Not to say you can't play in scale, but yeah, it's just going to be easier if you are in scale, in key. Another thing that I recently learned too is you can have one note play throughout nearly the whole chord progression, or if you can, all the chord progression. It's just going to make it sound like, in some chords, it'll make it have like this unique little tension because you're going to play around with notes like this one right here, bring it down. Some of these notes, like these two, these aren't like natural chords per se, you know, but it's still going to sound relatively good since these notes are still in the same key, and they're in key. It's just going to create a unique little tension for these two chords when I play around. But yeah, it's just a way to bring like all the chords and the chord progression together and make it sound a little more pleasant for the ear to hear if you want to play around with it. Another tip to make your chords sound more smooth in terms of like how smooth the transitions sound between the chords, you can pay attention to how these top notes are like the leading voice notes of each chords, like how far away they are from one another. And you can use inversions to help with that if they sound like a little too far away. So you can be like that, boom. And so this way it'll just, the whole theory is to make it sound more smooth and transition between the chords. So yeah, regardless if you don't think that this sounds better or not, you can change your chord progressions accordingly. But yeah, the whole thing with this is just to make it sound more smooth and transitioning between them. So let's see how this sounds. I absolutely love that, which is really wild. I love how we're not even changing like these three. It's beautiful in my opinion. And the last little bit that I have to make your chords not sound as like abrupt when you change the chords is to make sure that your bass notes ain't moving around like that much, you know, not skipping too many notes in between one another. These notes, you can kind of make the argument that they are jumping around a little bit. So if we wanted to, we can just take these out and then we can move these new ones that we got right here. Boom. See how this is just like these, how that's like one note in between each note, like these bass notes. See how much different it is than this, which is what, like three notes? Just because like it'll be prominent to the ear, but if you wanted like a smoother transition between the chords, that could be a little trick that you want to go for. Go like boom, so that way there's only one note in between, so it's not gonna sound that different. So let's hear how it sounds. Beautiful. So there y'all have it. Those are my 6 best tips for making Drake style R&B chord progressions. Hope y'all learned something in this video. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure to hit that Discord link in the description below as well. Again, we'd love to have you in there. And I will see y'all in the next video. Deuces.